Good evening, good evening. I am not 100% sure if this has gone live, and I am going to have a quick fiddle with that my phone. This is not a very good start to the question time this evening. I do apologise. Right, so just bear with me 1 second whilst I change my settings, as I have just realised. Now, hopefully, you're still there. So I'm just going to check on here because that was a bit of a dodgy way to start the question time this evening. Gosh, I'm over the places because I've been rushing. Had a catch-up coffee with a client I haven't seen for a while, and then rushed back here. Yes, it's there. That's interesting. It's showing up different on Facebook Live than it does normally. So anyway, hello. Enough of the waffling. It's me. I'm here. It's live. I'm in the office rather than being at home as I usually am when I do confidence question time. And I'm just going to, I didn't do my usual setup with the camera, so I'm just going to do a bit of fiddling now again, as I think that might be a little bit of a better angle. So when you are here, and oh hello, no, I'm going to do another bit of fiddling. Sorry people for wobbly camera syndrome as to what I'm doing at this moment in time. I know that's not very fair for you. Okay, let's see if that's a little bit better. So good evening. Welcome to Confidence Question Time. If you haven't watched this before, then my name is Jules Wyman and I am a confidence coach and speaker. And the purpose of the Confidence Question Time sessions, which happen every Monday night at 7 p.m. in the UK, is to bring a topic to the table for discussion. Hi, Alyssa. And to get people to join in, just as Alyssa has, and say hi and join the conversation as to what's going on. Now, I am again aware, I am so sorry, this is a very dodgy start of wobbling with the camera. I'm just going to have to accept that it's not as I would like it to be. There we go. There's a lesson in confidence in the sense of just going with what is. And interestingly enough, that's kind of very much an angle that I would be taking with this particular topic, how to be, or rather what to do if you can't be with the one that you love. Now, it's kind of a loaded topic in some senses because so many people at this time of year have different, I'm just double checking by the way that this is on, yeah, have different perceptions as to, I've just seen that Becky Johnson's on here. Hello, lovely Becky. You forgot to say you're also an all-round fabby, wonderful person. Thank you. I always find it funny when people that I went to school with or sixth form with come on and say hi. So hi Becky, it's been a long time since we've caught up. I am down your way over Christmas if you're around and want to catch up. Anyway, let me stop organising my social life and actually get back to confidence question time. It's, to me, this is in some sense is quite a loaded question or a loaded statement about how to be or what to do if you can't be with the one that you love, because there are so many different angles. And as I say, in the media, in the society that we live, we've created these both written and communicated rules, and also undercurrents of rules and topics that maybe we don't talk about often enough, and we don't recognize that quite often we're taking on other people's expectations, other people's rules about circumstances, rather than looking at them for ourselves. And I think it's really important to recognize that and look at that when we're talking about what to do if you can't be with the one you love. And you know, this time of year when it's dark or gets dark early here in the UK, and I know that we're not the only country in the world that happens to, but I think we can end up kind of question ourselves. It is a wonderful time, actually, I think, to become reflective and go inside. But for many people, that can be quite a challenge, which in my view as a coach is a good thing. And yet I recognise is also not comfortable. And so I think it can then bring up those feelings or thoughts more specifically about, I wish I was with, I wish I had that person with me, or I wish I was where they are, or I wish they were here with me. So that's kind of what I'm going to be talking around this evening, and feel free to jump in at any point and put your thoughts in the comments box even, and yeah, just join in the conversation around this, because I don't think I've got the answers. I am literally just going to share what I'm thinking about, because it's a conversation that I've had with a number of people, so much so that one of my clients the other day asked me what my plans were for Christmas. And she said, it's just because I know that you're single and you don't have children, and I didn't want you to be on your own. And I said, well, actually, I'm okay with that. I've done Christmas on my own before, and I'd be okay with that if that's what I chose to do. And not just her, but more than one person that I've ever had that discussion with kind of goes, oh, gosh, I couldn't do that. I'd want to be with the people that I love. And it isn't that I don't want to be with the people that I love. It's just that I have no problem with being on my own. So when I'm talking about what to do if you can't be with the one you love, is I recognise that that one that you love doesn't necessarily have to be a significant other. It may well be. And for whatever reason, they may be out of the country, they may be working away, they may be on a night shift or even a day shift. They may not be here anymore. They have migrated to another place, i.e. heaven, or whatever you perceive happens after we leave this country, this body even. I will come into land at some point. Inner resilience right there. It's taken me a while, Becky, but yes, I have. That is what this is about. It's about that inner resilience, and it may not be that significant other in that intimate side of things. It may be a child. It might be your son or daughter, and because your relationship has moved in a different direction, they may be spending this time of year with another member of the family and not with yourself, and that can bring up all sorts of challenges. Or it may be a sibling or another family member, or even a great friend that you're missing and that you wish that you had with you, or wish that you were with them. There are so many different angles with this, and that's why I'm going to keep it very broad, but as I say, it's just my thoughts on it, and I'm going to put it very simply in some senses, because to me, if I look to overcomplicate something, this gets involved too much, my brain gets involved too much, and it tries to make it too big. And so for me, it's about synthesizing stuff down in a very simple, most of the time pragmatic way. So one of the things that I would offer for you to think about initially is, if you can't be with the one or the ones that you love at this time of year for whatever the reason, if you, well, let me ask you this: if you moan about it, if you mope about it, if you get upset, frustrated, annoyed, what else did I write down? If you stress about it, about the situation not being the way that you want it to be, how do you then tend to feel? What impact does that have on you? If you can't be with the one that you love or the ones that you love, what impact does that have on you if you are moaning, moping, stressing, frustrated, or getting upset about the situation? I'd love to know what you think that would, and this, you may be imagining this, having to imagine this, but if you imagined you were moaning about it, what impact's that going to have on you? Let me know what you think. Mainly because I need to have a slurp of tea. But what are your thoughts if you can't be with the one that you love, or the ones that you love, and you are getting upset, frustrated, annoyed, angry, fed up, stressing, moaning, whatever it is? What impact is that going to have on you personally? And equally, whilst some of you may be typing your answers in as you think about that, equally think about the people that you are around, and they may be other people that you love, but they may not be people that you love. You might be the one at work, and be wanting to and be at home, wanting to be at home with your loved ones, or whatever it may be. But think about the people around you. How is it going to, if you are moaning, stressing, and you may not be doing it outwardly, by the way, you might just be, oh, I wish they were here, or I wish I was with them, or I'm really missing them. If you're telling yourself these stories, if you're constantly describing your situation as being wrong or upsetting or bad or not useful or not how you want it to be, then what's the impact it's going to have on you, but also on those around you? And as Becky quite rightly, I believe, has said, it's going to bring you down even further. It makes the longing or yearning or frustration or the upset or the desire for the other person bigger, which I know for some people they may say, well, absence makes the heart grow fonder, but I think it depends on how you are describing that to yourself. And I know that in the past, years ago, when I've not been where I've wanted to be, not necessarily at this time of year, but any time of year, and if I'm missing somebody and I'm moaning, oh, if only they were here and I miss them and it would be so much nicer if they were here and they'd love it and oh, they'd enjoy this and we'd be laughing about or we'd be talking about, then actually it's me that it impacts and those people around me, and not in a good way. It's not helpful or resourceful or kind or considerate to yourself or the other person. And in my own experience, when I've been like that, and then if I've got to speak to the other person, whether that is via the phone or face messaging or whether it is texting or whatever, it kind of perpetuates that sort of like the word that came into my head then is discord, that discomfort around wanting something to be different than it actually is. Now, if you've followed me in any of the work that I've done, I will probably have heard me use this quote before by a teacher that I very much admire called Adyashanti, and he says that a sure way to suffer is to argue with what is. And I very much believe in that, and especially in this kind of situation, if we are moaning about or getting upset about or berating or however we describe it, stressing, getting upset, then we're suffering over how something is, and there's nothing that we can do about that at that moment in time. And that doesn't mean you don't miss the person or you can't miss the person, but if we're moaning about it, we're causing that discomfort, that discord for ourselves, really. So Becky's put, absence does make the heart grow fonder, also makes one hell of a lot stronger in my experience. So again, I do agree that absence makes the heart grow fonder, and it depends on how you're dialoguing it for yourself. If it's that, I really wish that person, my son, daughter, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, mum, dad, whoever it is, it would be lovely if they were here, and I look forward to when I do get to see them. But then that's the end of the dialogue. Then that's great and that's empowering, because the point is then about being with where you're at, being with the situation. And that, to me, going back to the comment that you made earlier, Becky, about inner resilience, is that I've faced being on my own, and especially at Christmas, and put myself in that situation to a certain degree to experience what that brought up for me and the discomfort around it, so that I could be comfortable with it. And I know that may sound a little bit odd, or it did to me anyway. But that, to me, is what this is about recognising those aspects. If we're banging on about this story, if we're going on, oh, I wish they were here and it's not fair and blah, 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 then yeah, we're the ones who are going to be impacted, and it is going to bring us down further. Alyssa says, it creates additional stress on top of everything else that goes around Christmas time. I tend to plan Christmas in the summer, so I get first dibs of what to do. May sound selfish, but I feel better that it gets sorted early on. And if that works for you and your family, then that works for you and your family. And you've also put, you can't control what others plan to do, so we need to accept it and hope things go your way next year. Well, there's a whole different kettle of fish of what we could be talking about there, and I'm going to park that actually, Alyssa, only because I want to kind of offer some things up that, to me, they sound obvious, but one of the things that I have learned in this work is to never ignore the obvious, mainly because what I may see as obvious, somebody else may not have even noticed, and vice versa. So I think that sometimes it's worth flagging up what might be the most obvious things to be supportive to other people who may not have picked up on that aspect. So one of the things that I would look at doing is that if you know that you aren't going to be able to be with the one that you love, is that every time that you are with the person that you want to be with, and you know you're not at the significant time, if it's Christmas time or whatever holiday it is you celebrate, then make the most of the time beforehand and maybe look at, okay, so how do we want to do it? Do we want to celebrate it before? Do we want to celebrate it after? How do we want to do that? Do we want to be in contact when we're apart? What's going to work best for both of us? You know, and it's got to be that communication. And again, I want to reiterate, this isn't just about if we're talking about a significant other, because I think this is really important to think about. There are so many families that the parents don't get to spend it with their children, that actually that can cause upset on both sides. So it's like, okay, so do you want that communication whilst you're apart or not? And it's what's going to work best for both, not one or the other. It's like, okay, how can you work this together? And it might be a case of writing each other some notes, you know, good old-fashioned handwritten notes, or sending those text messages, or making a video message, or doing something that is really something, you know, that it may not be your particular way of doing things, but you know it would mean a lot to them. And that can be so important with reaching out and connecting at that moment in time, because we can't always do things our own way. And there are times, I think, that we have to recognise. I have a phrase which is be authentic to self and considerate of others. And that's a reminder for me that I don't have to give way to other people all the time, which is an old habit of mine. But equally, I don't have to do the opposite, because I would swing from one to the other, which is I'd either go, yeah, to everybody else, or I go, nope, this is the way, it has to be my way, and boom, and forge forward. And that's not helpful either. So to me, it's about being authentic. What's true for me, what do I need and what I want? And that particular Christmas, for example, that I did spend it on my own, is that I wanted that. I needed that. I knew it wasn't going to be easy, and I knew it wasn't going to be immediately comfortable for me, but I wanted that because it was going to be right for me. So I was as considerate as I could to the other people who would be uncomfortable with me being on my own. So I had giving them some reassurance that it was okay and all of that kind of stuff. So I think that's what's important is especially at this time of year, there are so many expectations coming from different angles, and so often I think we have to stop and go, okay, what do I want and need in amongst all of this, and what does the other person or persons want and need in amongst all of this, and where can we meet up with that? How can we support that? And I also think when it comes to really missing somebody, is just miss them. Don't go on about it. It's just like, do you know what? They'd have really liked that, or I must remember to tell them that, but just be with that in that moment. Don't let it play out, oh, it's such a shame and I wish they didn't have to work, or I wish they weren't away, or whatever it may be. Just recognise that in that moment that you miss them. And isn't that lovely that you've got that experience to be able to miss somebody? Now, I appreciate that for some people, not being able to be with the one that you love means that they may have died. They may have moved, vacationed, gone somewhere else, however you want to describe it, in this past year. And let's be honest, it seems to have been a year that many people have. And I personally still talk to those people that are no longer physically in my presence, because I can't be with them physically, but I can be with my memories of them. So whether it be one of my friends, or whether it be my nans that are no longer here anymore, then I will talk to them. So if I miss them, I'll go, oh, do you know what, Nan, I miss your mince pies. Nanny Robinson's mince pies. Honestly, they were the best mince, and I'm not a mince pie fan, but they were the best mince pies. Anyone in my family will tell you, Nanny Robinson's mince pies were the best mince pies. My mum makes the best Christmas pud, or used to. She stopped making them now, but Nanny Robinson, and we don't have those anymore because Nanny Robinson isn't around anymore. So we kind of miss her, but we miss her and we talk about her, and we don't get maudlin and upset about it. We just enjoy those memories and celebrate those amazing mince pies that she would make. My brother used to get his own tin practically made for him every year because he would eat them by two handfuls, practically one in each hand. So it really is about celebrating. It is about being with where you're at and what's going on for you in that moment in time. Now, I'm really aware that I'm kind of waffling. Well, I think I'm waffling. And I would love to know whether this is making sense for you, and if it does resonate with you, if it does connect with you, if it gives you any other questions, any other thoughts, anything that you want to ask around this, how to deal with not being able to be with the one you love at this time of year. So Becky's put, remembering my coping strategy from many years ago for divorced or separated parents. When the children go to spend time with their other parent, go out of your way to treat yourself. Buy food you like, watch the TV programmes you like if that's your thing, or any other activities you truly enjoy alone. Have a bath in the middle of the day, have an afternoon nap, go for a really long walk, eat chocolate for breakfast if you want to. Love that, Becky. Yeah, absolutely. And it is that Christmas that I spent on my own, is I did exactly that. I stayed in my PJs all day, which I very rarely do. I bought all the foods that I would like. I watched all the movies that I wanted to, and I enjoyed it. I indulged. It's kind of like sinking into that hot bath. And yeah, I could have lamented the fact that I was a newly divorced person, and I could have lamented the fact that I wasn't no longer spending time with my stepsons, and no one's going to want a 40-year-old woman on her own. Or I could have gone into that, easily could have gone into that, but I chose not to. And I love the fact that you've shared that, Becky. Thank you so much. To let people know that there is another way. And you've just reminded me by doing, I haven't asked for any of the thumbs up or stuff. Please, if this is making sense for you, if you're finding this helpful, resourceful, then one, remember you can share this, invite people over to come and have a look at this video now. And two, do all the thumbs and the hearts or the emoticons, in whatever one you prefer, because that helps it reach more people and engage with more people. So you can just do those kinds of things throughout that. And especially if things are making sense, then that would be fantastic. Because I do think that this time of year, it's all too easy. I think society as it is, has so many conditions. Thank you for all the thumbs up and the hearts. We have so many conditions. We have so many rules. Sometimes they are openly spoken about and sometimes they're not. And it really does pay for us to stop at some point and just kind of go, do you know what? That's not my thing. Why am I doing that? Just because somebody else is doing it and they enjoy it, that's great. But why am I doing that? So for example, my next door neighbour said to me the other day, so are you all set for Christmas then, Jules? And I said, no, I'm not, because I don't really do it. I'm not really that interested in it anymore. Just so that you know, I'm not being burgled or anything. It's the guys next door coming into their office, obviously other people working late this evening. But I said I don't really do Christmas in the way that most people do, because it just doesn't float my boat. I'm far less commercial now than I've ever been. My family's extremely small. I don't have children, so I don't get pulled along into that side of things. So it's a very different way, and I choose not to engage with it in that way. That's my choice. And he looked at me and he said to me, oh, I wish I could. And I said, Mick, it's a choice. It's a choice. You can go along with it if you want to, but if it doesn't serve you, if you're not interested in it, then we all need to start to stand up for what we want. And I don't necessarily mean in carrying a placard kind of way. If that's what you want to do, then go for it. But it is about recognising that we don't have to do it in that way if that's not working for us. So Graham's put, it's heartbreaking at Christmas. I'm a weakling. I avoid as much the grandchildren, etc. Very, very overwhelming. So Graham, I'm going to offer you this question. And I know it's kind of like a similar question to what I've offered out before. And I know that it won't just resonate with you. I know that it'll be helpful for other people. But let's look at it this way. You've just used the phrase, it's heartbreaking at Christmas. How are you describing Christmas in order for you to create the belief that it's heartbreaking? Or what stories do you have to be telling yourself? And my guess is most of those stories are going to be around, well, I should have, and I should be, and I should have had, or I shouldn't have done, or I should have. They're going to be wrapped in that should land. How is that actually serving you? How is that actually helping you? Because if I'm dialoguing it as it, I'm really sad and it's awful that I'm single, I'm alone at Christmas, I'm all on my own, and I wish I was going to be with the people that I love and I can't be, and it's just not fair, and then of course it is going to be hard. It's undoubtedly is going to feel heartbreaking and upsetting and uncomfortable. And if that was me when I'd have done that kind of thing before, I can pretty much guarantee that I would have then gone down that feels uncomfortable for me, so I'm going to probably eat my way through a tin of Quality Street or Roses, probably drink my way through at least 2 or 3 bottles of wine, smoke myself senseless, probably would have rolled a few joints as well, and smoked some other things as well as cigarettes. And I would have done all of those kinds of strategies. And if social media had been around at that point, I'd have been on there pouring my heart out about how awful it was and how unfair it is, that I'm on my own. And that is not helpful. When we describe things in that way, it's just not helpful for us, let alone other people. So yeah, sometimes it's as you've said there, Graham, it's the memories that can really trigger things for us. And it's like, okay, so celebrate what you have. And I know I've said this before on other confidence question times, is that, do you know what? I can't go back and change the past. I am no Time Lord. I'm not Doctor Who. And I don't think any of you are. If you are, give me a call, because we could make a fortune together. But we can't change the past. We have to be with how things are. And that may not be rosy and shiny. It may not be the way that we would want it to be, but it is how it is. And that's where we need to deal with things. It may be that you're not with those people that you want to be. That doesn't mean to say that you can't love them from afar. Doesn't mean to say that you can't send them your blessings and your love and light, if you want to look at it in that way, even if you're not able to express that directly to them anymore. So be careful not to get caught up in these old memories and hooked down that route. Becky's put, also, if there is anyone out there dreading Christmas because they're newly divorced or separated, hang on in there, it gets better. The child I used to have to part with is now 18, and I'm now totally at one with being without a significant other. I realise there's other angles for separation at Christmas, but there's my personal experience. Thank you for that, Becky. And yeah, look, we're all going to have our own stuff around it. And especially, I know that my old stories, my old societal conditioning kicks off at this time of year. I should be with somebody, I'm of a certain age, and I should have had children, and all of that stuff I know kicks off. But I recognise that they're just stories. That's just a thought pattern that is going on in my head, and it's not real. If I engage with it, I'm going to be uncomfortable. If I buy into it, I'm going to end up, before I know it, thank you for all the hearts and the thumbs and the loves and stuff, I'm going to go down a very, very unhelpful route. So I sit with being, okay, do you know what? I'm not with the person or people that I want to be, or, things aren't the way that I would have liked them to be, but they are how they are. And longing for them to be any different than how they are is only going to cause me suffering or discomfort. So I genuinely believe the best way, I love Becky's coping strategy of indulging, and in the sense of, buying yourself those foods and luxuriating in that bath. If that's your thing, it certainly would be mine, loads of candles and all of that. But enjoying that time, enjoying that space for yourself. But if you are, say for example, you're not with the people that you love, but you're with other people, and you may still love them, but in a different way, is still enjoy them too. Enjoy what lights them up. That's where that be authentic to you and considerate of others is. I personally find it a great reminder that I may not be doing my version of an ideal Christmas or winter or whatever I would prefer to call it, holiday season, whatever it is for me. But actually, I can be authentic to myself and considerate to what those other people need and what would be helpful for them? What would be kind and considerate to them? So, oh my gosh, I've just realised that it's gone 7:30 here in the UK. So, does this make sense? Is this helpful? What are your thoughts on this conversation this evening? And I love the fact that it's I get so excited when there's that interaction of conversation. But what are your thoughts? And in fact, let's wrap it up with, what's your one takeaway from this conversation about what to do if you can't be with the one you love? What's your one takeaway from this conversation? Jot it below, because it's be so lovely to know what you can take for this. And I'm sure that we all know somebody who, whether they're newly divorced or whether they're newly widowed or whether their partner is working or whether their children have gone off traveling, or there's so many different scenarios of not being able to be with the one that we love. But it really is, it really is important to share this with those kinds of people, give them an opportunity to look at things a different way, and not only from my point of view and what I've spoken about this evening, but also the comments. The comments have been fantastic this evening, and I love the fact that those of you who come on here every week are prepared to be open and share, and you give, and by you giving of yourself in this conversation, it enables me, it triggers stuff for me to be able to have this conversation and do my best to share stuff that has made a difference in my life and help me grow that. I think Becky referred to it as inner resilience for myself. So Graham's put, missed the beginning, Jules, but I'll catch up. Thank you. You're more than welcome, Graham. It's always lovely to have you here. Alex has put, the stress is societally conditioned. Absolutely. Well, stress is, unless it's a physical stress on the body, it's a psychological stress, and psychology is made up. It's what's going on in our head, and stress is only how we are describing something to ourselves. So if we're describing, the bell that's ringing, by the way, is for the ghost tour. It's not somebody trying to come and take me away or anything crazy. But it's that, it's recognizing that stress we create by those stories. That's why I bang on about this so much, of it's our thoughts about a situation that causes our stress, that causes our discomfort. So you're right, it's conditioned. It's not actually a human state. It is a human state, but it's not a natural human state for us to be. It's a conditioned human state. Becky says, you're in charge of what goes on in your head. Is that helpful to you? If not, it's got to go. Be kind to yourself. So there's more than one thing there, Becky. I love it. Whole litany. Liturgy. Don't know if that's the right word. I was just going to ask you, what's a spatula, Becky? But it's a bit of an in-joke, and that's unfair. But Becky, what is a spatula? It's really important to recognise those things, to really be truthful to you and with where you're at, what's going on for you. And it's not, I love that you've put, you're in charge of what goes on in your head. You kind of are and you kind of aren't, because 90 to 98% of what goes on in your head is happening automatically, and the majority of the time we're not even aware of what's going on. So we can only be in charge of it when we pause and go, hang on a second, is this helpful? Is this thought pattern that I'm going through right now and playing over, indulging in, is it being helpful? And if it's not, then we can take charge and go, well, let me think something different, or let me go and run that bath, or go and put my favourite movie on, or put my PJs on and eat loads of cheese and crackers and chutneys. That's what I do. But it is about recognising that, and that final thing of be kind to yourself. It's just key, and it never fails to blow me away when I have this conversation with people, just how many people don't know how to be kind to themselves. I did my Truth About Confidence talk at an event last week, and one lady said to me, I don't know how to, she said something like, how can you start to be kind when you don't know what being kind to yourself is? That was such a great question, because the majority of people don't know what being kind to themselves is. And by the way, the key with that is to spot when you're being unkind to yourself. That's how to know how to be kind, is spot the unkind and look for the opposite. Becky, when did I ever do just one thing? Yes, well, you were the lady that had the magic handbag, Mary Poppins handbag that seemed to always have everything in. If we ever needed anything at sixth form, could always rely on Becky having a handbag that probably would have had that in there. So I'm now overrunning. I could go on talking, as you well know, for those of you who watch these, it's harder for me to stop than it is to get going with these. So I'm going to follow up, I'm going to finish up with actually taking that part of what Becky said there about be kind to yourself. You know, if we can't be with those that we love at this time of year or any time of year, be kind to yourself. Moaning, berating the past, getting annoyed at the situation about how it is, stressing about it, it's not helpful to you, and it's certainly not helpful to those around you, or even to that person who probably would like to be with you as well. So be kind to yourself and make an alteration where that's concerned. Now, next week I did write it down. Bear with me 1 second, because yes. So next week's confidence question time again at 7 p.m. UK. Which I believe is 11 a.m. Pacific time and about 2 p.m. Alex, if you're still on the call, you can let me know. Is it about 20 to 3 where you are right now? I can't go on my phone and find out because it will cut me off. Which is Eastern time. Alex is on the East Coast of America, as far as I'm aware, if I remember correctly. So next week, 7 p.m. UK time, I'm going to start the topic of what to do if you have to spend time with people that you don't like. So kind of the flip of what to do if you can't be with the one that you love is how to spend time with those people that maybe it's not that you don't necessarily like them, but maybe it's not the most that pay, or the people that you would really love to be spending time with, which can happen so often at this time of year. So I thought I'd bring that conversation to the table next week and see where we go from there. So please make sure that you do load a thumbs up if this video has resonated with you, if it's given you insights, it's given you different ways of thinking, if it's given you some helpful tips, even if it's challenged you in some way, shape or form, then please do the thumbs up or the hearts or the smiles or whatever it may be, because this always helps us reach out other people, as many as possible. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And please, 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 we all know people at this time of year that would rather not be on their own or are struggling because they're not with their loved ones. So please share this video with them, tag them in it, or directly send it to them. I think you can send it as a private message or even put it on your own page. But the more people that can see about this kind of thing, the more it can help them. So Alyssa's put, looking forward to next week's conversation, ! Thanks for tonight. You're more than welcome, Alyssa. And I look forward to speaking to you all next week. Thank you for joining me this evening. I apologise for overrunning by 10 minutes, but I hope you found it of use. The final thing I would say is to remember that you need to believe in yourself, because when you believe in yourself, the quality of your life will change. Undoubtedly, it will make a difference. So thank you all for being here this evening, and I look forward to catching up with you again next week. Take care.